It is May 25th, 2018. We're here in San Diego, California. We've just received from AIT the new Wohler VIS700HD high-definition camera system to demo. So this is the case right here. We're going to shoot a couple videos of this. The first, we're just going to show the actual unit, and then we're going to show some videos of it going into pipe. Now, we already own the original Wohler 350 unit, inch and a half pan and tilt. As you can see, the cases are really similar. They're both about 17 by 20, and the new one's a little bit thicker, just barely. This is about 6.5 inches thick. This one's closer to 7.5. But other than that, they're almost identical in size. Obviously, other multiple differences. Wohler on the first VIS 350 unit, everything is encased and not accessible for the push rod. This push rod on the original units they've sold is about 0.24 inches, so it's about a 1/4 inch in diameter push rod. On the new unit, we don't know if they're going to modify their other ones eventually, but you can actually access the entire drum. So when you open up the bottom clasps here on both sides, not the silver ones, but the black ones, you can then open and it exposes the entire reel and push rod, as you can see right here. Also, with the other one, typically it was kind of hard to keep the head attached and sticking out and close the case. It was almost impossible with the pan and tilt, so it was always detached. As you can see, this one comes, it's already pre-attached, and what there is down here in the bottom is a little door, a little clasp. So obviously this would remain closed. This can be opened up from the front here, and you just then pull the camera head out at this spot. But they did have this all exposed for easier access for either be it repairs or whatnot. The other very interesting thing about this push rod, I've never seen one, and I own almost every camera brand out there. This is an oval push rod. I've never seen that before. Let's try to get the width, and then there's the profile. It is about 0.2 inches on the profile, and on the width, it is closer to 0.33. So very unusual. That's an oval-shaped push rod. It's not perfectly round. Never seen that before on any push rod system of all the cameras I've gotten from both Europe and in the US or China systems as well. So you can see the 100-foot drops back down in there. We're going to go ahead and lock that back in. And now we'll open up the actual case itself here. You can see right here, we've got a little bin. They've got what appears to be a little sun shield for over the top here. Apologize, we're shooting this with just a camera by ourselves. So, larger screen than the original VIS, or maybe actually they are the same, I apologize. This is the release tab right here for the screen itself. Again, we apologize for this way this video is being shot. So this is the little release assembly here that's pushed in and then allows the camera to come up. So I'm trying to do this and steady our camera. There we go. It just spring loads up, and then it can tilt, and then it can be removed. So it has the same detachable 1.5 inch polycarbonate shells that cover the head. As we pull over here again, here's the little side hasp. Pull that out, and here's the camera itself. What we'll do is we're going to go ahead and turn these units both on, and what we've got some things set up here, little mock-ups, to show hopefully side by side the difference of the screen. So what we want to show you is the actual viewing image on the screen itself. Then we'll shoot some videos of the camera inside the pipe so you can actually see that. But what we want to do is kind of show the difference of what you would see as you're looking at this actual high-def screen. We assume it's a high-def screen. The camera was said to be high-def. We don't know how the pixelation of the screen is going to be compared to the old one. This old monitor was not very good. In fact, we would use the output a lot of times on this old model with a RCA cable and the BNC connector and run it to another monitor setup and we would get a better image. So we'll see how clear this is in comparison. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hook up the other camera here at the 350 to show a side-by-side comparison on the screens. So we're going to pause the video for a moment. Okay, so we've got both cameras running. We kind of moved them, switched them around on the floor here. We were going to detach this monitor, which is detachable, and set it next to this, but I think for this initial test purpose that we're showing, we don't really need to. Now, the first thing that we had contacted Wohler about, and they weren't real definitive about it, but the good news is that the lighting is much different. So I was concerned because this 350 unit, the one here on the left, you can see as I go up to this wood board, you can see the lighting, and there's a little black spot in the middle there. And the lighting is just that much weaker, and we're set at the maximum. If you look at the 700 HD unit on the right, you can see the lighting is much more intense, and there's not that little black spot in the center. They do have larger LEDs on here, and they're positioned and giving a no shadow effect. So kind of hard to see here. But again, this is the 350 unit right here. And this is the 700. Now you can see the glare that's coming out there. It's because they're so much brighter. So just again, there's the 700 against this background piece of wood. And, oops, get that out. And here's our 350. And as we get closer, you can see that little black spot shadow that gets emitted. So we'll do the same thing. Very small. But as soon as you back up, it diffuses beautifully, and it's much, much brighter. So that's good news, because for the 350 here, we had to purchase this extra light ring, which does work, but it adds a lot of size. So if you're trying to go through a 3-inch pipe, then you're probably not going to be able to do much, if anything. So that's kind of nice that the lighting has been upgraded, because that was our biggest always concern with the 350. Now, we'll go ahead and show on the screen of the units here, we've got a bunch of test little things set up all over here. So the first thing we have is just a piece of 4-inch cast iron we'll start with here. And this is 4-inch cast that we cut out, and we have inside this pipe, let me actually pull this back out and show with our other recording camera. We have a cable in here with some roots we extracted and pulled out of a drain. We just did this job this week. So that's what's inside this one here. So we're going to go ahead and put the 350 in to start. And as the 350 goes in, we'll go ahead and pan over to the image on the screen. Now, again, I know you're not going to be able to see it perfectly well from another camera onto the screen, but we can see that visually it's okay. I mean, we can definitely see what things are, but it's not super, super clear, and that's the main difference, obviously. Now, when we put the 700 HD in there, and we'll go over to this monitor. Hopefully we don't get too much glare. This shows your angle, and by tapping that, it goes ahead and re-levels it. So that's another instant nice feature compared to having to always hit the shift key like you had to here and to get it to roll around. So this one is recentering right now, and going down the line now, we come up, and when you hit the menu button here, this is going to be your focus right here. And the focus can be adjusted by tapping it with your finger, Or when you're in that mode, you can also just use the joystick, which I think is better, only because the screen, I don't know how well it's going to handle fingerprints over time, and it's nicer to keep a clear image. So the focus is amazing that the camera kind of has to constantly be adjusted for close-ups or for farther away. But you can probably tell from the other screen that this screen is much more clear, and that also has to do with the camera clarity. It is just absolutely night and day difference between the 350. Let me see if we can put this back in there again. So that's the 350 screen. Looking at that roots, it's just kind of no colorization from the camera and on the screen itself. And then when you go back over to the 700 HD, you can probably tell just remarkable difference. And again, you can really get close up and see that cast iron. If you go out of the mode that we're in right here and get rid of the menu, then the joystick controls your pan and tilt option. And again, you can get very close up to the as cast iron. Let's push it forward just a little bit. We'll look up that branch run we've got. Now you can see the branch run there up it, but when you go to the menu key into your focus, then by playing with the focus, you can see it gets blurrier because it's farther away. And as we hold it in, now you can see a lot clearer down that pipe, actually, the branch run. So if there's something you're trying to see on there or a little item hanging in the line. So it is amazingly clear, 100% compared to the 350, but you will need to get used to constantly having to adjust this focus if you're trying to do really quick assessments for every several inches or something to that effect. Doesn't happen that often in plumbing inspections of cast iron and drain pipes that much, but I guess if you're inspecting weld joints or some other runs and some other things, just be prepared that you do have to play with this, because you can be in one area and as soon as you want to look away, let's get out of the menu, and look down and across another area, you've got to sometimes then refocus so that you can actually go ahead and see what's in front of you again. So if you look at a sidewall, then to get a clear picture again of what's on the horizontal run, you do have to constantly be adjusting. But the adjustments are small fractions, but it is very clear. So we're quite impressed. Again, we're most happy with the lighting change. At this point, we're hoping that when we do some real-life tests here and some sewers coming up, that lighting is going to be adequate, that we're not going to have to install a light ring. Now, this light ring does not work on the 700 unit. We were told by one of the Wohler reps when we talked to them on the phone that they will be introducing one, I believe. We'll see if it's necessary as it is with the 350, hopefully not. So that was our first little test. Our next little test is in black ABS pipe. And in this black ABS pipe, we just simply put in a penny and a dime down in here, this short piece of pipe. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We'll just show the 350 going in. This is looking at it on the screen. So we're up to the pieces here. We can definitely see kind of the penny a little bit, but again, not real clear as to, everything's kind of just one shade almost. Now we switch back over and we'll put in the 700 unit. You can really see all the clarity like we were with the first kind of unit, and all that dust and debris that's in this old pipe we had sitting there. Now we're going to go ahead and shift the camera here. We apologize again for how this video is kind of going to turn out. So we're going to shift the camera so we can get a better view of those two coins we have. That's about more centered there. Push this across. Let's go ahead and make sure that it's centered. We're going to hit that button, Looks to be pretty well there right now. That footage counter and the clock timer counter there, I gotta see if that's able to be removed from the screen. That's really in the way of the camera image of what I'm trying to do. Now, as we do come up to the coins, we're going to go ahead and try to focus this in a little bit better. So usually when you turn the joystick to the left or hit this to the left, that's giving you a little bit better of a view when you're really close up on an object. So the closer you get up to an object, you don't go to the mountain far view. You need to be the close-up view. So, again, I know it's hard to see. We're just trying to go ahead and show this on the second screen, but it is much clearer and you can really get an idea of what's in there. Now, the other thing is this push rod seems to be just slightly stiffer, and that we don't use the 350 that often, so I don't know if it's age or not. But what we're going to do here is show these two cameras. If we pinch them off at a spot here and have them hanging, again, we apologize for the way this video is going to turn out. We're pinching them at the same spot here and letting them hang. You can see the blue push rod, which is the 350, compared to the black 700, a little bit stiffer on the black one, and so we don't know if that's going to be better for pushability, but interfere with some harder turns in 90 degrees on the systems. But as of right now, it seems to be a little bit stiffer also. So we've also got a little piece of cast iron pipe set up here with the same thing, a couple coins inside. So here we've got some 4-inch cast, and then the same thing, another penny and dime laying in the pipe. So we're just going to show again on the 350 unit going in. That's kind of what it looks like. Not real great, but that's what we can see. Apologize. Now let's put in the HD unit here. And we're going to have to recenter this. So this push rod, again, sorry about this. Push rod is a lot stiffer, and so as I'm down the line, it's really wanting to sit at a curved angle, whereas the 350 kind of lays more straight and flat, at least where the camera head is. So this piece right here is staying straighter. We've got more of a natural curve, and it doesn't really want to get rid of that curve. Let's see if we can lay these two side by side here. So it kind of bows off to the left as you're looking at the black one push rod. That's the HD. It's got that slight curvature to it. And so in this very short run, which we're trying to do here, it's kind of angling it up a little bit. So we're going to hit the recentering piece, and we just got to actually kind of play with it there. But again, you can see from what we're showing on the screen here, the remarkable colorization difference, and of course as we're looking at it in person, the clarity that you see of those two coins, and just overall the inside of the pipe, really being able to distinguish little hairline pieces and debris in there is really phenomenal in comparison. I've got some things laid out here on the side here for some colorization. So same thing. This is the 350 here. This is a little Moen cartridge removal system we've created. An eBay box, Cheerios. So that's here now on the. Apologize, we're trying to level this out. So see, that's our colorization. We're about 5 inches away from the Honey Smacks box, about 6 inches from the eBay colored box with Moen, about a foot away from the Cheerios, and just a little under a foot from this display. Now as we go and grab the high definition unit that we have here, so we're going to go ahead and just show the same things. We'll move our camera over to this screen. So we're going to kind of grab this and recenter that so it's levelized. So here's the Honey Smacks box. There's the Cheerios. Now the one thing we'll notice is we're with our other hand while our camera's down, we're moving the joystick to move the focus. But as you can see, much better in comparison of color and clarity and everything from, there's the colorization on the eBay box you couldn't see before really well. So again, yes, a remarkable difference between the two systems here, between the 350 and this new 700 HD. So it is quite different. We're pleased with the lighting aspect already that we can notice in the difference, which is the biggest problem we always had with the 350. We do like the joystick command as far as for the pan and tilt compared to the 4 buttons that you had to use. I don't really like that everything on the display interferes with the camera image. I've always had that problem even with some of the other manufacturers out there. I actually kind of wish they would have the screen set off so that whether those things are being shown or not, they're not actually part of the actual overlay of the camera image. I've never understood that. The other thing that we will say that we don't already like about the 700 unit, just as a long-time plumber of almost 20 years and owning every power tool manual, they have a built-in battery on this one. Now, yes, it's much better than the lithium-ion the nickel metal hydride and cadmium batteries that were used in the old days. The 350 used the metal hydride. This has stepped up to lithium-ion. But the fact that it's not removable is not good for repairs, for breakdown, and more importantly, if you had a long inspection all day long, it's no fun because you can't use a second battery to purchase to go ahead and then be able to use it as a substitute if you forgot to charge it or don't want to have to run power, which you can do with this unit, unlike all the units. So do not like the built-in battery. Obviously, though, being lithium-ion is a huge step up, but still not good enough. Shouldn't have done that. The other thing, which is fine, all the European brands are still doing this for some reason. It still uses an SD card, which is the most annoying thing because that one for recording. Now, we have to relook at the book because this does have a USB port right here, and so if it does record on a USB, then that's going to be great. So we apologize I didn't look through the manual on that, but I've always hated how on the 350 unit you had to record on a flash drive card because that's not easy to give to a customer, and then you still have to transfer it into a USB little piece, and so it's either 2 components, and USB flash drives are much cheaper than these, and they're easier to give to people for them to upload onto their computers and tops. So we'll have to check and see. We could be completely wrong, of course, and I apologize. Hopefully that is a USB recording port and not something for uploading firmware or hardware or any updates or anything like that. I assume it is for recording, so hopefully that's the case. So if that's the case, then the only big flaw is really just the built-in battery aspect of it, not being able to run with a second battery at any time, or if there's just a problem with the battery itself ever going bad, this whole unit's got to be shipped back, I'm assuming, because not many people are allowed to work on lithium-ion batteries, and it probably has a very unique battery change out setup, but who knows. So that's our first video here showing the differences between the 350 and the 700 HD from Wohler. We're very impressed so far. We do like it as of right now. We'll see if this oval push rod that seems to be a little bit stiffer and a little cockeyed on the end, not laying nice and flat, how that's going to affect some of the videos and some of the pipes. But since it pan and tilt, it shouldn't affect it too much. So that concludes this recording, and go ahead and look at our next video. We're going to have multiple videos coming up here right after this one on our channel that's going to show this 700 inside inspecting lines, showing what it can do.